Hello, and welcome to our IBT launch event. I'm Amy Cook, BCBA and Community Manager from Hi Rasmus. I'm so excited you all are here today. Today, we'll be showcasing our new IBT training. First, Dr. Michael Mueller will discuss the International Behavior Analysis Organization. Later, you'll hear from Dr. Erin Moran, the creator of the Hi Rasmus IBT training, and hear her story to see the training in action. After that, we will have plenty of time for questions, and stay tuned for a very special giveaway where one lucky organization can earn 5 free IBT trainings. Before I hand it over to our special guest speaker, I want to share a little bit more about Hi Rasmus. Hi Rasmus is an ABA clinical software company that was inspired by our founder's son, Rasmus, who was diagnosed with autism early on in his life. Our goal is to help deliver the highest quality behavioral therapy services to 1 million children with autism by helping the people who've helped them: behavior analysts, techs, teachers, parents, clinical directors, and all of you. We provide the best clinical platform so you can keep the focus on the child in front of you. To shed more light on the importance of high-quality clinical standards in our field, I'd like to now introduce the Executive Director of the IBAO, Dr. Michael Mueller. Thank you so much for being here today, and I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share for you.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited about this because there are a lot of intertwining parts. I've known Nikolai and his beautiful family for a few years. Had the opportunity to share meals with them, and it's exciting to see this addition to all the other wonderful things that he's doing to help grow ABA around the world. It's two things that really align the IBAO and Hi Rasmus as a international focus. Met him when he was living in Dubai, and his software is doing wonderful things in the US, but I think you're also in 60 or 65 countries outside of North America. And so it's great. And when Dr. Moran decided to create the RBT training, I was invited to participate in that and did a couple of the lectures within that. So I feel fortunate to have been a participant and one of the speakers and presenters in the RBT training and now the IBT training. And so it feels like it's kind of come full circle. So what I'd like to do is just take a few minutes and talk about the IBAO real quickly, and then we can get to the main event and see the IBT training. I'm going to share my screen. Good? Yes. Okay. IBAO was started in 2020. It is a certification organization for professional. Oh, sorry. Don't seem to be. There we go. Is that okay? IBAO is an international certifying body for those who practice applied behavior analysis. We started in 2020, right after the BACB decided to only certify ABA professionals in North America. So what we did was we created culturally relevant ABA educational, training, and experience and knowledge standards that really pertain to the entire world. We also created ethical guidelines that reflect the various cultures and behaviors and the way these are different from place to place around the world. So currently we have certificates and candidates in 86 different countries. So this really is truly a global international organization providing these certifications literally all around the world. All the continents are represented except for Antarctica. And because we're a certification organization, it's important to talk about why certifications themselves are important. Autism awareness is growing very quickly around the world, and therefore ABA is growing very rapidly around the world. The very first ABA certification organization was the Behavior Analyst Certification Board, North American board, that was launched in 1998, so quite a few years ago. And in the United States, the certification board really in the expectation for behavior analysts to be certified happened before the widespread commercialization of ABA services, which didn't really happen until the late 2000s. So certification in the United States was achievable really and expected prior to the growth of ABA as a new industry. Outside of North America, it's really the opposite that is happening. And to kind of highlight this, in the year 2020, the BACB had about 200,000 people certified in North America and about 8,000 people certified everywhere else. So even though there's this widespread and rapid growth of ABA around the world, there aren't that many people certified who are providing the ABA services. So this has created this situation where you have more people providing or saying that they're providing ABA services than have certifications in the field. So to address this, one of the benefits of certification on its most basic level is community protection. You have people who are not doing very good work in the field. They're not trained properly. They're not experienced. They don't have the knowledge to do this. And the community, which is parents, teachers, schools, they really don't have a way to distinguish who's been trained properly and who hasn't. And certifications provide that. And the more the community knows about certifications and what goes into it, our ethics, we can create, these really transparent expectations about what behavior analysts do and don't do, and what behavioral therapists and technicians do and don't do. And there'll be a lot of benefit to the field when these are widely accepted globally. When someone provides ABA services and they haven't met the standards that our field has decided need to be met, it can be quite harmful to the learner. It can be done unethically or culturally insensitively. It can be ineffective, and those things are direct negative impacts to clients and children. But it can also hurt the reputation of the field of ABA in general. And this can lead to or even contribute to anti-ABA sentiment that's around the world in some places. So the sooner it's we're able to distinguish who's properly trained and who's not, the easier it will be to identify people who kind of fall outside of that bubble and are doing things in a way that the field accepts. Certification is also a really important professional acknowledgement. There are a lot of people, people on this call included, who have dedicated their careers to applied behavior analysis. We've invested the time, the money, and the effort to do it properly, and some haven't. And so this is a huge professional recognition. I've been fortunate, really fortunate to have been in a couple different countries around the world, even this year, to present at these formal presentations, people's first certifications. And it's very moving, it's very touching. And there are places that could not access the previous certifications that now can, and people are just tremendously grateful that they have these opportunities from our organization. So being a professional, being a certification body that represents the world, we had to create a professional advisory board that also represents the world. The first version of this was made up of 45 behavior analysts from 22 different countries. We really did set out to create something new. We did not follow an existing model. It just didn't make any sense to us to try to recreate a system that wasn't working for the community that we were trying to address. So we really did try to create something new. And in doing that, the first meetings were to understand what the barriers and obstacles to these previous certifications were. And we're not going to go into the details of it, but for different reasons, these same issues and barriers came up repeatedly all over the place. One, it was very expensive. There were a lack of translations, both in materials, website, requirement information, and exams. There were various problems with the exams themselves, both where they were, where they had to be taken, and the cost of those things. Lack of different educational options around the world. Many had to be tied to university programs that don't exist in some countries. Educational system differences, lack of supervisors. So when we set out to create the requirements for the IBAO certifications, we had these things in mind, these existing barriers, and we created systems that address those specifically to make it easier for people and more flexible and culturally relevant for people to enter this new system. The current professional advisory board, where Dr. Moran is a part of this, is 90 behavior analysts from 45 countries. So again, really, truly global representation. The advisory board is broken up into different committees, some by specific country, some by regions around the world. We have ethics committee, accreditation committee, some review committees, social media, and then committees by specific language that have done translations of the documents, of the requirements, and exams. Our examinations work differently. These are online exams, so no test centers. The exams are free. It's included in the registration fee. Retakes, so there's no re-exam fees. Those are also free. There's no test centers. These are taken on the candidate's computer. The proctoring works through the computer's camera and microphone, and then later reviewed by people. So this is really, really awesome. We have documents translated into all of the languages that you see up in the top white. That means that, there are groups that translated all this, and our goal really is to create a system where you can go to the website, read the website in your native language, get the documents in your native language, so understand what to do and how to do it, and then take the exam in your native language, so that being a certified behavior analyst or behavior therapist does not mean that you have to be a proficient English reader, writer, and test taker. So we have more exams being translated, but the ones that we have currently are in English, Arabic, Portuguese, Russian, Japanese, Spanish, Chinese, Italian, and French. And the list is growing. The ones in the red are in progress. So we're really, really proud of those accomplishments so far. We have over 400 approved content and CEU providers providing training in 18 different languages. So I'll just kind of briefly show you the requirements for each of the certifications that we have. The behavior analyst certification is the International Behavior Analyst, the IBA. There's a master and a non-master's route to the IBA. Both, however, require at least 270 hours of required educational objectives. This is the ABA specific education. And then you have 1,000 hours of practice, 50 hours of supervision, 2 live candidate skills tests that are conducted by the candidate supervisor. We have 12 different CEUs that are required before certification. We have general CEUs, which are essentially clinical topics, and then we have CEU categories in ethics, cultural issues, and supervision. As I mentioned, the IBA exam is 150 items online. It uses the record and review proctoring system. And after someone's certified for the first time, during their first 2-year certification cycle, there is a mentorship requirement. And to maintain certification every 2 years, there's an additional 24 CEUs required for that. The IBT, which is the International Behavior Therapist, which is really what today is about, requires a high school diploma or equivalent. It requires a 40-hour IBT training, and this is what Hi Rasmus has created. This is really really, really going to be helpful for a lot of people all around the world. The IBT also requires 300 hours of practice, 10 hours of supervision, live supervisor-led candidate skills tests, and a 75-item online exam. We created a new cultural category for continuing education. And this is a fairly broad and intentionally sort of vaguely defined category that includes things related to ABA that don't fall into ethics, they don't fall into supervision, they don't fall into clinical categories, and they can include things like regional or national differences, religion, race, gender, sexuality, neurodiversity, and then non-clinical practice issues such as burnout, leadership, turnover, those kind of things that have been popular topics in the field lately. So there are pre and post certification CEU requirements. IBAO has an ethical guidelines. These are aspirational guidelines that candidates and certificates are expected to know and apply to the best ability to their professional lives. It is not a black and white code because ethics are contextual. Certain expectations differ behaviorally and interactionally around the world based on culture, and that needs to be taken into consideration. So if there's a doubt as to what is the best course of action, if you feel like you're in an ethical dilemma of some kind, we also have an ethical problem-solving model that can be used to help kind of resolve that. An international standard for certification is important because most importantly, the standards change over time. And if every country or every region is creating their own standards and these change over time, at some point in the future, they'll be different enough that it will be very hard to expect to know what it means to be a behavior analyst or a behavior therapist. When people practice in multiple countries, when they use telehealth, when they're consulting in different places, it's helpful for people to have an expectation of what these professional behaviors are. If you are interested in registering to become an IBT candidate, you would go to the IBAO website, which is listed here, and you can register. Because we are a relatively new organization, we also understand and respect that people have started their journey towards certification, perhaps with another board. And if that's the case, we also try to meet people where they're at. If they have completed for any reason any of our requirements, they don't have to do those requirements again. They can submit what they've already accomplished and then simply finish from that point going forward. If someone is already currently certified, for instance, as a BCBA or an RBT, they can add our certifications on without having to do another exam. And that's what we call the addition. So the very brief, hopefully informative explanation of the IBAO. This is our email address and our website, where the downloads page has a tremendous amount of information in various languages. So again, thank you for the opportunity to share some of this, and happy to be here, happy to be part of this, and looking forward to Dr. Moran's next steps here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mueller. That was extremely insightful. And we will also have time at the end if you have questions about any of those certifications. But now I'd love to introduce Dr. Erin Moran, the creator of the Hi Rasmus IBT training.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, great. I'll start over. So my story really starts kind of growing up. I had a family member, a cousin who had autism. So I was always around autism, but I really only got a very narrow glimpse into what it meant to have autism or to live with autism or a family member. I saw my cousin who had quite a full life, had a lot of activities. I didn't necessarily get to see really some of the struggles that he faced in his day-to-day life. Fast forward then to after I finished my undergraduate degree, I moved to Asia to teach English. And I had a classroom full of 38 6-year-olds and really relatively little training. And there was actually a student in my class that had autism, and there was no behavior analyst at the school. There was no specialist. There was no supports there for him. And I saw him struggle every single day. And it really opened up my eyes to the fact that children and adults with disabilities all around the world don't have the same supports as perhaps they have in America. And that there's really a tremendous need to help them. And that's what really motivated me to get into this field and to see, what could I do? What small even difference could I help make for these learners? I came back to America, worked in a school, decided that being a teacher wasn't going to be my calling, but I saw the behavioral consultant and I was like, that's what I want to do. Fast forward again, I completed my master's degree. I was living in Asia again, and I was kind of looking for my next adventure. And I found a group of moms of children with autism in Eastern Kazakhstan who were looking for an ABA therapist to come work with their kids. So I reached out to them and I said, hey, like I would love to come, but instead of working directly with your kids, I would love to train you and give you my knowledge and my expertise so that hopefully you can take those skills and apply them long after I'm gone. So I packed my bag, went to Usk-Minogorsk, and did not receive the reception that I was expecting. As it turns out, only one parent actually wanted me to come, and all the other moms were very understandably quite skeptical of me, of applied behavior analysis, of what I was going to do. In fact, when I arrived, we kind of sat around a table and everyone made their reservations known to me. So it was a little bit tough to get started, but I did have one parent who was open and really wanted to try it. So we started with her daughter. We started with PECS. At the beginning, she could only say a few unintelligible words. Within 1 week, she was speaking clearly in 4-word sentences. I've never had the same result so quickly before, but that was such a powerful moment for us there. And it really opened up the door for people to see, hey, maybe there is something here. Maybe we should give this a shot. So then I spent the next month working with the parents to try to kind of find where they were at. There was a lot of misinformation at the time. And we really kind of ended up having more of maybe less focus on, okay, I'm going to build your ABA skill set. And really just this is what autism is. This is where we can find good information, and really trying to assess the situation that they were in. I attempted to go to schools, but the schools would not let me in. Many of the seasoned teachers or specialists perhaps weren't so open to learning new techniques. But what we did find while I was there was that the younger professionals were really interested in learning more. And in fact, I don't speak Russian or Kazakh. So I had a group of undergraduate students serving as my translators. And when I first got there, they didn't understand the purpose of my visit. They didn't understand that children with disabilities could learn new skills and to gain, independence and communication. And by the time we were done, the translation studies students were reading Skinner because they were so interested in behavior analysis and so excited to see the results that we were having. So it really kind of gave me this motivation to pursue my doctoral research at the University College London's Institute of Education by connecting back with this group of moms in Kazakhstan. So our kind of issue that we had was a lack of resources, a lack of trained professionals, and perhaps not having a really good way into the schools or the centers that were currently established. But what I did have was an impressive group of moms who were sharp, they were dedicated, and they were willing to do whatever they could for their children. And I also had this very promising, focus on this younger generation, these undergraduate and master students to kind of gain new skills. So we went into my doctoral research, and the plan was to take advantage of the mom's expertise and create a behavioral skills training program to teach the parents to use behavioral skills training to train undergraduate and master students. So what I did is I created 2 manuals, a teacher manual and a student manual. And the teacher manual was scripted, and it walked the instructors through BST so that they could train performance skills, prompting, reinforcement, and so on. The student manual went alongside it and had everything that they needed to complete the courses. So in theory, anyone could pick up the manual and deliver the training course to teach these basic ABA skills. I then used behavioral skills training to train the moms. So the moms first went through the training themselves as students, and then they practiced delivering the training and got feedback until I let the moms loose at the university, and they trained a group of undergraduate and master students. And we tested their skills before and after, and the training was quite successful in teaching these initial performance skills. And we even had an extension study that we were really pleased with. And I was riding high because here I thought that I created this really great training program until I met with a mentor, Andy Bondi, who's the creator of PECS and has a lot of experience with trying to disseminate training programs worldwide. And I said, I want to publish these manuals so people in low resource areas can deliver this training and teach these performance skills. And he said, well, Erin, that's a nice idea, but what you might have in reality is that these people will go, they might deliver a training, but then there's no way to provide ongoing support. There's no way of connecting them with a supervisor that can mentor them afterwards. And just some concerns about how these manuals might be used and what the trainees might walk away with. So then the manuals kind of sat there, and I didn't do too much with them until I connected with Hi Rasmus about 3 years ago and realized that Hi Rasmus and myself, we have the same mission. And that mission is to provide high quality training, high quality products and services to individuals all around the world, not just those in America, not just those that have the ability to fly in their own specialists, but to anyone and everyone, no matter where they are. So when I connected with Hi Rasmus, it was such a wonderful opportunity to take the research, this packaged BST training, and put it online, utilize all these different technological functions to be able to have this great training, but in a way that can connect trainees to their supervisors. And I think that these skills and that these functions in particular are going to be incredibly useful for those all around the world who, maybe you're the only or one of a small handful of behavior analysts in your country, and you can't be 15 different places at once, and you might be supervising people in 15 different places. So these video uploads that we have and the interaction that we've built into this program, I think is going to be super useful. And as Mike mentioned, we started with an RBT training, but I'm so pleased to be able to tailor our training for the IBT certification, because again, it's a really full circle moment for me as well of getting back to why did I start in this field? Why did I create this training in the first place? And it is to help people who need it the most. So with that said, very excited to now kind of show you guys a little bit more about the platform and what our training entails. So what we were looking around at the current technician trainings and what they typically look like, and they're often didactic in nature. So they're just the trainee plays a video and then they watch the videos for 40 hours. And our research indicates that perhaps that's not the best way of training performance skills. So actually providing reinforcement, implementing prompting strategies. And they oftentimes lack visibility for the supervising behavior analyst to be able to see how they're doing, see what areas they're excelling in and what areas they might be struggling in. And again, this didactic training is difficult to teach and assess practical skills. So oftentimes there's going to need to be quite a bit of additional training afterwards, and that can really slow down getting these trainees, new hires into providing services. So we have created some goals for our trainers and our supervisors for our IBT training. So our goals for the trainees is that they will gain a strong foundation in the principles of applied behavior analysis. We want them to really come away feeling like they have grasped many of the concepts. And we want them to be able to demonstrate competency of the performance skills once they finish the training. So they don't do the training, then learn the performance skills, but learn it truly all at once. But it's also very important that they understand the roles and responsibilities of the IBT and understand where their place is, where their function is, and some different obstacles that they may encounter as they're going and starting their new career in applied behavior analysis. And finally, we really want them to be able to come out of this training feeling like, yes, I'm ready to go. I feel confident. Now my training can focus on getting set up on a particular client. And our capabilities for our supervising behavior analysts. As a supervisor, or you could have several supervisors at your organization, log in and view the trainee's progress through the course. They can monitor to see how much of the training has been completed, how much is left to go. As the trainee progresses through the course, they're given a variety of comprehension check questions, and you'll actually be able to see all of their responses to those questions. So you can really see, are they grasping this? Are there areas that they're struggling with? And then that way you can plan your individual one-on-one meetings to be more focused in on the areas that they need assistance with. We also have a really nice chat function, so you can chat back and forth through the trainee. Maybe you see that they did really well in a section and you can say, hey, great job on that. Or perhaps the trainee completed a section and has further questions. They could tag you in it and say, hey, can we talk about this topic at our next meeting? And the training follows a BST structure. So there is the instruction, and then there's a video model, at least one video model for the performance skills. And then the trainees actually have the option to upload a video of themselves performing the skill. So as a supervisor, you can go in and then watch their video of them performing that skill. And we have a built-in fidelity checklist. So you can score their performance as you watch that video and provide that really descriptive, detailed feedback to the trainee, the steps that they did correctly and the steps that they perhaps missed. In addition to the scoring of the fidelity checklist, you're also able to provide time-stamped feedback. So if you pause the video, there's a comment section that will be linked to that moment in the video where you can say, hey, you did a great job providing reinforcement right here. Or, hey, you know what? Actually, right here, you missed an opportunity to prompt the learner. And once you can get over watching a video of yourself, which I know can be a little bit uncomfortable, it's actually a really wonderful training tool because you can really reflect back on your practice and see, where you have room for improvement or where you're doing very well. So with that said, I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm going to show you guys the training. So I'm going to share first as I'm logged in as if I am taking the course. So this is me logged in as a trainee. We can see here, I have finished module 1 and 2, and we can see I am now part of the way through module 3. So all I have to do is hit resume, and it pulls up the training. So as we mentioned, the trainees move forward. I'm going to go back here, and they'll watch a variety of instructional videos. We tried to keep the videos somewhat shorter to keep them engaging for you. Also allows you to watch them perhaps on your phone. If you're waiting somewhere, you have a few minutes here and there, you can watch and progress through the course. We also have a variety of video models that are embedded. This is my sweet nephew, where we're able to demonstrate those skills. We can see here we have even additional one here, another video model. So really trying to give you an idea of how you could use these different skills during different activities. After you're finished watching the videos, you'll be provided with a check for understanding comprehension questions. So we can see here we have some multiple choice questions. If you get it correct, you get a green check. Incorrect, you get a red exclamation mark. And you do need to complete all the comprehension questions correctly in order to advance to the next section. So this just prompts you back and allows you to watch the video again if you would like. Once you progress to a point in the training where you have the ability to upload a video, you just upload straight into here a video of yourself performing that skill. You also have the option to skip it and come back and submit it later if you want. And that's the experience for the trainee. They progress through, again, instruction, models, and the opportunity for them to practice and upload that video. I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment and log in now as a supervisor, and you can see all of the tools that we have for the supervisors to monitor their clients' progress and really interact and get the most out of our training platform. Okay. One moment here, Erin IBT. Okay. And we will share once again. So now I'm logged in as the supervisor, and it brings me back to when I select my staff member, I'm at their homepage here. So I can see exactly where they're at. I could even hit resume and watch the video if I was curious about what they were going to be learning next, but it wouldn't progress the trainee through the platform. If I go to history, this is where I can see that this trainee completed section 2 on Monday. And I can see this icon here tells me that they uploaded a video of themselves performing that skill. If I hit supervise, this is where it will take me to see all of their results from that. So we can see here, these are the active student responding questions. And I can see that this learner got these two right on their first try, but they got an incorrect response on this first question, but they got it correct on their second try. So again, this is really going to be helpful for you to see how well is your trainee grasping these concepts. Do we need to review a new concept together, and so on. You'll also have the ability to review any open response questions. So you can see here, these are some of the open-ended questions that I included. We also have the opportunity to view a video of their video uploads. So in this course, we learned about preference assessments. So here is the video of me performing a preference assessment. It might take a second to load because I have a few tabs open. Zoom slows it down a little bit. But as we're watching the video, we can actually score it based off of this fidelity checklist. So I can say they got this step correct, they got this step correct, they got this step incorrect, and so on. And then this would become available to the trainee. And I think that this is a really wonderful way of providing that feedback. You have a record of it. I accidentally clicked the wrong thing, but you can use this multiple times. So if you want to reassess the skill on several different occasions, you can come in and use this as much as you want. You don't have to watch the video to use this fidelity checklist. You could just observe them doing it in person and then still log in and use this fidelity checklist. The video uploads aren't required to complete the course, but it's a tool for you that you can use if you want. So you could use the video uploads for some skills and then view the other ones when you're with them in person and keep track here. Really trying to give flexibility to organizations to use this in whatever makes the most sense for you. The final feature that we have is the timestamped comments. So down here, if we were to pause this video, you could write, this is where you would write that comment to the learner and say, hey, great job at this moment in time. You did exactly what you were supposed to do. And that's how the training works. And so as the trainee progresses through, you can go into their history, continue to view their responses, their performance, and really take advantage of these interactive features. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. I think that we have now a Q&A.
Yes, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Moran. That was such an inspiring story, and it was just fabulous to be able to see the IBT training in action as well. So we will now open it up to questions, whether you have questions for Dr. Mueller or Dr. Moran. We'd love to hear from you. You can either put them directly into the chat or you can use the Q&A on there. And it looks like there's one coming through.
Yes, I see the first one here. Yes, you should be able to purchase it and get started today. I think Amy, I think one of the slides that she's going to put up will have an email address for our team to reach out to get an account set up and get started.
Okay, do we have any other questions? I think I'm going to ask you a question. So I really loved your story. I've heard a little bit, but hadn't heard quite the whole story. And so I know in our field, no matter where you're located, there sometimes can be some reservations from parents, and there can be some mixed messages out there. So when you first, go into this room all excited and people are not quite so open or as excited about the ABA therapy as you, what would be your advice to those clinicians? What do you think is the best approach with those parents to kind of build that trust and rapport?
Yeah, I'll be honest, that was a pretty intense moment for me. There was a table full of people and I was stood there and they were pretty upfront with their reservations. This what are you doing here? This American dog training's not for us. You're too young. Do you even have kids? You're too skinny. I mean, they really went for it. And I actually don't speak Russian. And so then it had to be through a translator then. So I got, first and then a second time. It threw me off. So I guess if I could give myself advice going back is to be prepared for that. More prepared, I suppose, than I was in understanding that people have been given misinformation. And really they're just looking out for the best interest of their kids. That's truly, they want what's best for their children. They're going to do whatever they need to do to make sure that their children are getting access to the right professionals and that the professionals are treating them with dignity. So I think to just understand that and to just go in and not try to force your agenda too much. So I really, just tried to listen, to try to understand what their reservations are. And I think it's about, just really presenting, not trying to put anything else down and not trying to say, well, this field's bad or this methodology is bad or what you're doing hasn't been working, but just say, hey, why don't we start with something simple? Could you give me a week? Could you give me 2? And let's just try it and see how it goes. And if you can get an early win, like we had that amazing early success with that PEX user coming out and speaking, that did the communicating for me. That's what opened up the door to show like, okay, we do have something here that could be helpful for you. If you have a little bit of faith in me, maybe we can work together and see.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So we have a few other questions coming in. If you are interested in purchasing the training, it is $95 per training. I will say that we have an awesome giveaway I'm about to share about. So opportunity to not have to pay that fee. And you can also, we'll show on the slide in a minute, but you can contact sales@hirasmus.com if you are interested in that. So if we don't have any other questions, you type in the chat or in there, I'll go ahead and we will talk about our giveaway. So do you want your ABA therapist to have the opportunity to become international behavior therapist? Now's your chance to enter. Simply create a video or post sharing how these 5 free IBT trainings will help your mission and tag Hi Rasmus on LinkedIn or Facebook. And our winner will be announced on July 22nd. So I look forward to hearing your inspiring stories, and I look forward to one organization benefiting from those trainings as well. Looks like we may have had another question. Is there any other questions in there, Erin, come in after that?
Yes, I do see one. Perhaps Mike, I don't know if you're able to see this question regarding the assessment for clients. If IBTs are not allowed to do the assessment, how will the assessment be if the IBT is in another country and the supervisor is also in another country?
IBTs are allowed to participate in assessments. Part of the training teaches them how to participate and what things they can do. Typically, the IBT role does not include analyzing the results of the assessment and creating behavior support or skill acquisition programs from the results, but they certainly do participate in those trainings. It's even a section of those assessments. It's even a section of the required educational objectives. One of the options for IBT supervision is that it can be all remote. We recognized very early on that there simply aren't enough qualified supervisors everywhere that the candidates are going to be. So supervision can occur in groups of up to 5. It can occur remotely. This can be done through, videos, through Zoom calls and other, the same kind of media. I believe Hi Rasmus actually has a function within it that allows for some remote supervision possibilities. So this ties in very nicely with other, kind of software applications that Hi Rasmus offers in their offerings. So there are a lot of different ways to supervise remotely. It's quite common practice right now. As a matter of fact, I have clients internationally where I supervise remotely. Of course, there's pros and cons, but it's very, very possible. And And until there are enough qualified supervisors everywhere, it really is kind of a go-to method. So unless I'm misinterpreting the question, that's the way that I think it can be answered best.
I think that was great. And Dr. Mueller, I see one more question. For people that are interested, I believe they're interested in potentially becoming an IBT. They want to know, how would they go about finding a placement with a family or school? Do you all have organizations that you recommend? Or what could that person do that's wanting to work, but not knowing, some reputable, high quality supervisors or schools?
Yep, great question. Pretty common question. So there's a couple different answers. When someone registers on the IBAO website as an IBT candidate, they have the ability to access the IBAO supervisor directory. This is now, I think, a couple thousand people who are qualified supervisors who have agreed and willing to be contacted for supervision. That directory can be sorted by country, by languages spoken, by professional or research areas or clinical areas of practice. So you can try to narrow someone down that really kind of fits what it is you're doing. If you're looking for somebody locally, the options can run from local social media groups. Facebook groups are very common to find placements. Some people have used their friends and family in certain situations. Some people have just gone to schools and kind of knocked on the door. It is probably helpful to be as creative as possible when looking for situations, because they don't always exist, obviously, outside of North America the same way that that they do here. So volunteering, having someone create an internship, going to organizations that do or could provide these kind of services are all options for you.
Wonderful. I love those ideas. Okay, well, if you want to learn more, you can check out our website and book a demo to see how our platform can help you. And I just truly thank everyone for being here today. I hope everyone has a great day, and thank you for joining us to learn and grow together.